Welcome to the latest episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live. I'm SME Media Senior Editor Michael McConnell.
And I'm SME Media Editor Rachel Thomas.
Yes, Rachel, welcome to your first Advanced Manufacturing Live episode.
Yes, thank you. I don't like how it was thundering outside right when my name was said, but I promise I'm bringing good vibes to the conversation. So
I'm
thank
sure
you.
you are. Looking forward to it. And this week, we're talking to Jennifer Coyne, Programs Director at the Barnes Global Advisors. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hello, how are you guys?
We're great. How are you?
I'm doing well. We do not have any thunder here, and I'm ready to talk.
Well, we have lots of questions, so this is going to work out well. For those people that are out there watching this right now that are not familiar with the Barnes Global Advisors, can you explain what that is, where it is, and what you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we are an advanced manufacturing consultancy company. We mostly offer engineering communication services to folks who are interested in adopting advanced manufacturing. So, specifically, a lot of us have manufacturing experience with additive manufacturing or 3D printing, but ranges. And we have a group of about 40 people who I think combined, we have a crazy amount of combined experience, about 500 years of experience among the 40 of us. So there's just quite a bit of knowledge gained over our careers. And this is our chance where we like to help other people maybe not make the same mistakes that we made learning and help them get there faster. So our customers range from, small to medium manufacturers learning about advanced manufacturing and how to adopt it, up to we have several engagements with the US government, and we help them understand how to use advanced manufacturing, and anyone really in between.
And I might have missed it, but where is your office based?
Yeah, so we're national, but we're really
Okay.
headquartered out of Pittsburgh,
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow, 500 years when you total out all of that experience. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. I learn so much from my colleagues every day.
Yeah, I love that. So, looking at you specifically, looking at your background, when can you pinpoint a time when you developed that passion for engineering and realizing that was a career path for you?
Yeah, it probably dates back to high school, which, a lot of people are making life decisions when you're under the age of 17, which is a little bit crazy, but that's really where it started for me too. And I got to know about the role of, the job of engineering from one of my high school guidance counselors who just kind of spoke into me and said, "Hey, you're really good at engineering and science. Have you ever considered this as a career?" And honestly, I've been exposed to manufacturing my whole life. My dad's a tool maker, and I grew up in the tool and die capital of the world, so named ourselves anyway, in northwestern Pennsylvania. And, so manufacturing and engineering was always a part of my surroundings, but I really just decided to go for it, see if I liked it. And I took it one day at a time, and it turns out I really did. And it's been an amazing career, and one that's been both allowed me to have a family and a personal life, but also be able to pursue things that I really love.
And Jennifer, as you we looked at your background, your LinkedIn, what have you, and you worked at places like GE Transportation, Wabtec Corporation, and now Barnes Global Advisors. How did all those come together for you to make that transition into advanced manufacturing in general, and specifically additive manufacturing?
Yeah, great question. So I started my career off at GE Transportation. I was on their Edison Engineering Development Program. It's a leadership development course for recent college grads where you get to do a 6-month rotational roles, and at the same time continue on to get your master's and do other educational things. So it's a soft landing for those coming out of college. So it was an amazing experience, but it really it gave me an opportunity to switch jobs 4 times in my first 2 years and really
Wow.
figure out what I liked and what I didn't like. Most importantly, what I didn't like. And so I was able to avoid those. And I think the main thing working there was I worked next to huge manufacturing of locomotives. So on a campus where it was probably multiple buildings, hundreds of thousands of square foot of manufacturing, heavy duty manufacturing. So that's what I started with. And then from there, I took multiple different roles, and I think we're going to talk about some of them a little bit, but one of them was systems engineering. And that one, I was able to learn all about the different things and how they interact. So systems engineering is all about how a system interacts and understanding all the various pieces and how they affect the whole. And that was really the part of engineering that I was like, oh, that's what I love. That's what I want to do. I want to understand the whole thing so that I can solve a problem effectively and not just try to throw I have a hammer, I'm looking for a nail, right? I wanted to approach it correctly. So fast forward, my foray into systems engineering led me to where I found my other love, which was new technology and new technology adoption. And that's where growing up in a bit of, I'll say, an older industry in rail. It's an older industry. It's been around a little while.
A little bit.
Hundreds of years. That introduction of new technology into an old space was really where I got excited. And that was when the additive manufacturing opportunity came to me, because really it did come to me. I wish I sought it, but I didn't. In a big company like that, sometimes things fall in your lap, and someone said, well, hey, you're finishing up this role. What do you think about evaluating additive for our business? And I was like, oh, very interested. I'd love to understand the technology and then how it could be applied in our business. So that's really what led me on the path to additive, was being in the right place at the right time and then kind of falling in love from there. And then that was the transferable skill that I brought over into my new role.
Did you know anything about additive? But before you looked into it at your previous position, when they asked you to study that, did you know anything about it?
Honestly, very little. Very little. It was, maybe like almost 10 years ago now, or close to 10 years ago now. So now I know a little bit more, but no, at the time I was familiar with like plastic 3D printing. That was about it.
Yeah, looking into like the specifics of additive manufacturing, since there are about, seven, I want to say, different types of it. What was like the specific additive manufacturing components that you were looking at?
Yeah, I mean, the exciting part about starting my journey with such a large business, at the time we were GE Transportation, about a $5 billion business. We then merged with Wabtec, about a $9 billion business, and I got to sit at the core of additive manufacturing for all of the businesses there. So I would say we used probably 6 of them. I think we probably didn't touch the one, but we used, all seven. we explored them all. And I got to see how all of them worked at the time. And then I really narrowed down into a few key technologies that were best fit for our business, which were laser powder bed fusion, metal, mostly in stainless steels and Inconels. And then binder jetting. I had a metal binder jetting machine, and then I had a whole host of polymer machines, a multi-jet fusion from HP, and quite a few just regular large format polymer machines, because everything we did was large. Lots of large parts going on locomotives.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite of those as you were like really digging into them?
I mean, binder jetting gave me the most challenges. So I don't know if that's the favorite, because I spent the most time thinking about it, but certainly the laser powder bed fusion is kind of where I had the most success in implementing parts on locomotives.
Okay. So kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying earlier about, bringing in new technologies into an older industry, I want to touch into the recent piece you did for our SME Speaks column for our March issue coming out and online right now. For those unfamiliar with SME Speaks, this is a monthly column we write, or that we include in our Manufacturing, Engineering, and Technology magazine, and it's written by an SME member who, shares their area of expertise and personal experiences in the industry. So looking at that column, you mentioned that earlier in your career, you were told by a manager to stay in your lane when you suggested a software solution. So how did that moment, kind of shape your approach to systems engineering, or, what would soon be, a career path for you in systems engineering? and kind of like technology adoption?
Yeah, it was crazy how pivotal that moment was for me, and you only see it when you look back. Um, but I still remember quite a bit. I had come out of that that rotational program I told you guys about, and this was my first role after that. And I was working alongside a very senior member of our team who was taking me under his wing and mentoring me. And we were collaborating on a solution that was holistic. It was system level, and of course it was, right? Because I was being led by one of our highest members of our technical community, and I was very excited about it. And I came to my boss with the solution, and he reminded me that I was a mechanical engineer sitting in a mechanical engineering team, and that I had to stick to solving it with a mechanical engineering solution and redesign. And honestly, I just didn't believe in that path forward. So I did what I had to do, and I went back and kept working on it in the way that he told me to. But I immediately started having other conversations to figure out how I could be in a systems engineering role where I could solve the problem in the right way. So very soon after, maybe 6 months later, I transferred to the systems engineering group where I spent the majority of my career in GE Transportation. And I loved that team. I loved the system ethos. And it really was, it was my invitation out of out of the design engineering, mechanical design engineering group into something that fit my way of thinking a little bit better.
Yeah, I love that you were able to advocate for yourself and, like, no, I'm going to look at this differently and, trying to find a different solution and, end up getting into a team that you really enjoyed and, path that you loved.
Yeah, I appreciated
So,
that.
yeah. And in that same column, you also speak about, the bottlenecks that occur when organizational tools are moving slower than, the tools itself. So can you elaborate on those bottlenecks and, how those problems can, transfer to the shop floor?
Yeah, for sure. So I think using additive manufacturing is a good example to talk through how this can show up. But really, I think any new technology faces the same challenges. That's why I wrote the column a little bit more generically,
Mhm.
because I believe that all technology adoption faces challenges when it comes up against the systems that are the legacy systems that are in place. So, and when I say systems, I mean like roles and responsibilities, software, decisions, approvals, even the structure for which we define technical data. All of that can change when we talk about making something a different way or making a different product or let's concentrate now on making something a different way with different technology, whether it's automation or additive. You get into the point where let's take a 3D printed part. It used to be a machined part and now it's a 3D printed part. Well, the first step after that, is it the same? Does it need to change? Are the people that need to approve that part that it's okay, fit for service, are they educated on the new process? And do they understand the questions that they need to ask in order to approve the part? What changes are necessary? So if we don't look at things holistically, even to the point of metrics and how we measure cost and productivity and the overall business value of a thing, if we don't look at the holistic um, way that this new technology now enables us to work, we just end up being like, oh, it doesn't fit my business, it doesn't fit me, or it's not worth the effort. Versus if you come in understanding that you're going to touch the full value chain and all the metrics and rules and responsibilities around it, that's how you enable technology.
Mhm. Yeah, and I kind of want to piggyback a bit too, because I wanted to ask, from your perspective, being a woman in the industry as well, as we're going into International Women's Month and Women's History Month and everything, I'm curious how your experience has been being a woman in a male-dominated industry. Like, what other challenges do those bring?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And I gotta say, like in early on in my career, I definitely came up against more challenges where people weren't used to seeing uh, someone like me in the role, right? And uh, those are always going to be there. I graduated with 10% women in my graduating class. So it is a small number. But I got to say, I find incredible acceptance and, in fact, quite a bit of camaraderie of other women in the additive manufacturing industry. It's a wonderful place to be a woman in manufacturing. And in fact, like my team itself our leadership team is 40% women, which is crazy.
Wow.
Oh, great.
And it's highly qualified, amazingly talented individuals that I get to work with every day. That it's a true blessing. And so in this space that I'm in now, and it's the same across the industry. I don't know if it's quite the same numbers, certainly not. But I get to be around such talented women in the additive manufacturing industry, and I feel very accepted and welcomed there.
You mentioned about a 10% female rate in your graduating class. Is that better? Is that higher today? Do you know if the statistics bear that out, or?
I mean, in some it's higher. In I'll say some engineering majors, it is higher.
Okay.
I don't think it's significantly higher in mechanical, electrical, etc. Some of the basic ones. No, I mean it might be up to 20 in some cases, but no, not really.
Okay. So, switching gears slightly, we want to talk for a few minutes about your role as an advisor on SME's Advanced Manufacturing Technical Community Leadership Committee. How were you approached to join that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So at the time, I think it was 2020 when I first got involved with the group. So it's been almost 6 years where I've been on the team. I'm actually going to come off the program in a few months because we have a 6-year tenure. So it's been an amazing run. But yeah, and I'm going to end as chair, which is also great, to be able to lead the group before I leave. However, how did I get there? I actually work for him now, but at the time, John Barnes was, I guess, just a fellow co-worker. I don't know, in the industry. We knew each other from the industry. He had done some work for us when I was at GE and WabTech, and we had just gotten to know each other, being from the same region of Pittsburgh. And so he was on the committee, and he encouraged me to, I'll say, have a bigger presence, and also just to give back. So be a part of the fabric of the industry, and that's how you get to know people. That's how you feel truly involved. So it was a little bit new to me, having been part of just a large business where we had involvement that was more specific to the business and less specific to the industry. So I was really excited to step out into that, and I found it such an amazing opportunity to meet other people. I met just some great colleagues that have diverse perspectives and just come to volunteer and give back. So it's been a really good experience for me.
And do you remember when you became chairperson?
Last April.
Okay. So for people that aren't familiar with the committee, what are some of the key things that you do as an advisor to it?
Yeah. So we do a few different things. So we help out with some things at Rapid plus TCT. We help run a panel where we showcase the advisor group. We also help with the awards. So some of the awards that are given out at Rapid plus TCT, we have input and we vote and recommend things to SME as far as those different awards like Auburn and Industry Achievement and the Startup Award, or to name a few. And we try to help get people into those nominations. We recommend people that we know in the industry, be like, hey, you'd be a great fit for this. How about you nominate for this award? We do that. And then on top of that, we meet about once a year, which, that's where I met you, Mike. We meet once a year in various locations where we talk about strategic initiatives that we want to take on as a group. So we met in October, and we came out with a few key initiatives that we were going to tackle as a group, including some around workforce, another one around advocacy and key messages for the broader industry, and one more on business cases and just helping spread the word of the good things that additive can do and how it should be used.
Oh, I do appreciate you remembering that we met at that meeting in Coronado. Are meetings like that helpful for shaping your goals, and do you guys hash things out and what direction you're gonna take things?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, honestly, all of us are volunteers and we have busy jobs. So for us to be able to dedicate time together where we are able to, hash things out is a good word. We're able to brainstorm together, and we have such a diverse perspective in the room from all different parts of industry. And that's actually what we try to do when we get into, when we invite new people into the group or when we take on nominations for the group, is make sure that we have diverse perspectives from throughout the industry. And so when we come up with these key initiatives and we're sitting alongside SME's leadership, I know you can see Janine in there and Brett Connor in there joining us. It meant so much to our team to have the SME leadership show up and have both SME leadership and the voice of the industry together in one room. It was a pretty powerful thing. So I feel really good about the initiatives that we came up with. And obviously it is still difficult to do things as a volunteer and move things forward, but we're really excited to do that alongside the SME staff, which is very supportive of us.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back, so you said that you've been on the committee since 2020, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so how would you say the committee has evolved or changed or, met the moment over these past 6 years?
That's a good question. So our industry has changed a lot over 6 years. It's gone from big hypes and lots of investment dollars to maybe some recognizing of it's the Gardner hype curve, right? And then there's the down, and now we're maybe on our way up again of like, this is where people are really learning what the technology is capable of. So I think as we have gone through cycles in the additive manufacturing industry, the needs of the group have changed. And so early on, we were creating a lot of things that are now just running, like the Auburn criteria, the industry achievement criteria, like how do we evaluate some of these awards? That was a lot of work that's now complete. Now we're just evaluating against it. And then there's other things that we have done. We launched like a production club because we realized that people needed to know stories that additive manufacturing production is a thing. and a lot of people won't talk about it because it's their secret sauce, it's their whatever, but there's examples out there where in cars, in smartwatches, major brands that you are probably using today are using additive manufacturing, and we needed to highlight those stories because if not, you'll have people talk to you and be like, it's not ready. And I'm like, well, no, it is. You just don't know it's already being used, right? And so as the needs of the industry have adapted and changed, so have our initiatives just to respond to those needs.
And how do you think you're doing on getting those words out, getting the word out about additive manufacturing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How are we? I know we're certainly we're trying. I think I'm looking forward to Rapid Plus DCT when we're able to have our panel talk about it there. We've launched some subcommittees recently in the last month where we're going to find ways to publish more stories about use cases, which I think is really important. And that's, honestly something that I wake up every day thinking about in my role at TBGA is how to move the industry forward. So, both using vehicles like my volunteer role with SME, but also just using my own vehicles like through my work or LinkedIn or whatever, just to tell the good news.
And this is kind of related, getting the word out. But I remember at the conference in near San Diego, you guys talked a lot about workforce development. That's probably been a struggle for a while to find those right people to find the industry and to become part of it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. People get really excited about additive. It's fun. I mean, my kids have a 3D printer downstairs. It's like everybody. It's accessible. It's particularly because there are simple, cheap versions people have in their schools now or their libraries sometimes. It's not as foreign as it once was, and the machines aren't as expensive as they once were. And so it's, I think the workforce has a pretty good perspective on simple 3D printing. And the upskill to the more complex is the difficulty. That's a little bit where TBGA comes in, and why, we have a company that helps people to do that, is because it's still a need. But the workforce piece, where I think that we can have a big impact, is on the higher end, more industrialized 3D printing or additive manufacturing. What are the needs there, and then how are there, just like, for example, if you're an engineer and there's an ABET accreditation of a school, that ABET accreditation of that engineering program tells you that they have met a certain standard. Well, who does that for additive? Who says you must know these 5 things in order to be a good technician, or these are the competencies that you should know as an engineer? So it's more some of the framework that is lacking still. It's not so much the interest, but it's the framework and the programs and the access to, I'll say, industrial equipment, because that stuff is expensive. So it's not the access to the small stuff. It's how do we get students and people who are interested access to what can be $1 million+ machines.
Do you find people know what additive manufacturing is, or maybe they know the term 3D printing when you talk to people?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, story. I was I was doing a presentation for the Eisenhower School, which is a military school anyway, and I gave the same presentation 3 times. After the 3rd time, someone said, "I don't think they know what you're talking about. You should probably use the term 3D printing." So yeah, probably not. I think the broader audience, I still use. That's even why I'm using it interchangeably during our conversation, because when we talk about 3D printing, we tend to mean the actual printer. When we talk about additive manufacturing, at least my definition is that I'm talking about the value chain that produces an end part, of which the printing or the printer or whatever is a part of it, but it's a part of a whole. And so that's why I like to use the term additive manufacturing. I think a lot of people in our industry do, but you got to remember who you're talking to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that brings a good point. Just a personal story of mine. I went to school for apparel merchandising and design and journalism, and a big part of my studies was 3D printing and like the actual 3D printer itself. And we were using it to print, shoes and different component like accessories and things like that. But there was also elements where it could be used for like, healthcare and like other things and like apparel for those industries. But it's nice to think of it now in hindsight, like, wow, we weren't just 3D printing. It was a full package of things that we were doing and supporting.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a really good example.
Yeah. And you've talked about the highs and lows of the industry over these last few years, but where do you see additive manufacturing and the industry heading in the next 5 to 10?
Yeah. It's funny. I think I get asked this every January. What does January 2026 say? It has to become more normal. It can't be some unicorn that people don't understand or that they're scared of. It has to feel like just another CNC machine that is a tool that is fit for a purpose, not every purpose. We get asked all the time from certain folks that maybe are less involved in the industry, well, are you trying to displace manufacturing? Is it taking over everything? I was like, no. It is a tool that is useful for certain applications, for even certain parts of the value chain within an application, right? So understanding its place is really important. But I do think, we need to see cheaper machines. We need to see better software solutions. And these are all coming. They are coming. And in fact, I was just at Formnext in November. It's one of the larger international trade shows for additive manufacturing. And we're seeing that. We're seeing a heavy population of machines with lower cost that are available sooner. Most of them are coming from China, so that's interesting with respect to where we are today. But it's definitely being more commoditized, I'd say. And not commoditized is probably the wrong word, but more normalized will happen, is happening.
Is there anything, you're most excited about or looking forward to from what you just, shared with us?
Yeah, I get excited to really what gets me most excited, honestly, is the ability to move manufacturing more to the point of need. And I'll say like reshoring is another thing that gets me really excited. I mentioned earlier, my dad's a tool maker. So growing up, I saw a lot of the US capability, capacity, the ability to make things go abroad. And
Yeah.
even more so, early on in my career. And it's just only, I'll say, since COVID that the narrative has really shifted to the risks of having very little capability capacity in near the point of need. I'll use the US for this conversation, but let's say in the US, that's a problem. And I see additive manufacturing and advanced manufacturing as part of the solution to bring the ability to make things back, because it is highly automated. Machines cost what they cost, no matter where they go. And it is part of what could be a solution to make things closer to the point of need. So we're not relying on huge logistics and supply chains that are very fragmented. So I get most excited about the supply chain aspects of additive, and the technology has to come alongside to make that happen. But I guess that's kind of where my future vision still lies, is when we reach that point.
As we're starting to wrap us up a little bit, Jennifer, is there anything else you wanted to mention, some points you wanted to make that we didn't touch on, a topic that you wanted to talk a little bit more about?
Not really. I really appreciate the conversation and just the ability to talk a little bit about what I do and how it intersects with SME.
We really appreciate you taking this time too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, yeah, for this conversation, giving insights about your career journey, volunteering through the committee, and the industry as a whole. Before we wrap up today's episode, I would like to do a quick plug to SME's 2026 30 Under 30 program. Nominations for this year's program are now open. They're open through April 17th. If you know someone who is paving the way in the manufacturing industry, whether as a student or a professional in their career, you can nominate them by visiting the link on the screen, advancedmanufacturing.org/30 under 30. The person must be 30 or younger as of December 31st this year, and self-nominations are welcome. So Jennifer, Mike, myself, if anybody knows of anyone, will yeah, so thank you so much.
And with that, we are at the end of what is our fourth episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live. So thank you so much for watching. I'm SME Media Senior Editor Michael McConnell.
And I'm editor Rachael Thomas, and we'll see you next time on Advanced Manufacturing Live. Take care, everyone.